Tonight, the WBRZ Investigative Unit uncovered a mess at state police in an apparent cover-up to conceal the truth. It involves a state trooper who used a racial slur and those at the highest level of state police trying to prevent the public from seeing the records we requested. Here is Chief Investigator Nakamoto with a report state police does not want you to see.
Michael, Sylvia, more than a month and a half has elapsed since the WBRZ Investigative Unit's first request to state police. Tonight, the trooper who used the slur on duty received no discipline, raising questions about whether this is accepted behavior at state police. This letter is so jarring to read, state police redacted what their own trooper said. Our sources say that trooper was kicked off of a federal task force. Once it was discovered, he called another trooper an expletive N-word. Tonight, that trooper is working undercover, doing drug cases in the New Orleans area. His name is August McKay.
The most valuable asset of anyone in law enforcement is their credibility and integrity. And based on what the state police have documented, this trooper doesn't have any credibility or integrity, and his presence in street investigations is compromising the important work that's being done by law enforcement.
Raphael Goyeneche is the president of the Metropolitan Crime Commission. He's a corruption watchdog.
This is another example.
Goyeneche says McKay should be removed from his role and any job dealing with the public, particularly those who are African Americans.
If there's a role that the state police believe that he feels for them, doing administrative work, not dealing with the public, that's their call on that.
To understand the breakdown and no discipline behind this matter, you have to see the hoops state police made us jump through to get the records. Here's a timeline. July 17th, our first records request to state police for the letter. 7 days later, we're told it's not a public record by their attorney. Our request is amended to review McKay's disciplinary file. State police invite us to see it, but one glaring piece of paper was missing. The letter our sources tell us existed that state police left out of McKay's file.
I believe that they're truly embarrassed by the fact that your station has found this out and is holding them accountable for it. And rightfully so, because there is no justifiable explanation for this.
On August 14th, we reviewed McKay's file and met with Faye Morrison, state police's attorney. She admitted the incident we requested did exist. She drafted the letter and Colonel Kevin Reeves signed it. But a breakdown occurred and McKay was not disciplined. Therefore, they chose not to put it in his file. 5 more days pass and Morrison provides us the letter she drafted, redacting the words McKay used. After citing legal cases, state police finally released the unredacted letter with a catch. The letter was given to the captain here at Troop L. He was responsible for imposing the discipline on August McKay. But the breakdown goes all the way back to top brass at state police headquarters in Baton Rouge, as no one bothered to check to see whether Captain John Riles imposed the discipline on McKay that the colonel wanted. State police investigated. In 2017, when the incident happened, the trooper who was called the slur offended by McKay's words. Their investigation found McKay violated policy, and despite the letter of reprimand being drafted, it was never given to McKay, so he got off scot-free.
Is this an isolated incident? Has it happened in other occurrences? Because something as fundamental as this, it's just as simple as once this is signed by the superintendent and it goes to the troop commander just gives it to the officer or the trooper. That wasn't done. That's so fundamental. Why?
Why did state police not discipline McKay? Why was the suggested discipline a letter of reprimand with the climate that's going around the nation? Why did no one follow up? And why is McKay still working drug cases undercover if he was kicked off of a federal task force once they learned of his behavior?
If it's tainted for federal investigations, the same applies to state investigations.
Tonight, Goyeneche believes McKay's use of the N-word will have a far-reaching impact on every case he's worked.
The state police have an obligation to inform every prosecutor's office that is handling a case in which this trooper participated in the investigation against an arrested subject.
As we were working on this story, one of the colonel's right-hand men asked us over the phone not to do this story. We requested an interview with Colonel Kevin Reeves about the story on Monday. We were told they were checking his availability, but we never heard back. There is a recording of this incident. The WBRZ investigative unit requested it, but state police refused to release it. Michael?
Our chief investigator, Chris Nakamoto, has been exposing controversies at state police for months, and it all culminated in this.
Sylvia, Michael, Reeves' retirement comes at a time when state police is facing multiple controversies that he has avoided talking about. Tonight, our sources at state police say they found out about their boss's retirement from the media.
We must hold ourselves accountable for our actions before we can hold the public accountable for their actions.
Powerful words during an old interview.
And we're excited about what you're going to do leading state police.
Thank you, sir.
From the leader of state police, who has refused to accept any accountability about any of the controversies exposed by the WBRZ investigative unit recently. Last month, Governor John Bel Edwards said this when asked about them.
But I have complete confidence in Kevin Reeves as superintendent of the state police.
Tuesday, the governor announced that Reeves' 30-year career coming to an end Friday as problems continue to mount. The WBRZ investigative unit requested an interview with Reeves this morning after Jacob Brown, the son of Reeves' right-hand man, was placed on leave for a 2019 excessive force incident. Our sources say it involved an African-American male who received head trauma. Why it came to light a year after it happened are questions state police won't answer. For more than 2 months, we've been trying to get the head of state police, Colonel Kevin Reeves, to sit down with us to do an interview. Each time we're told he's not available. We want to ask him serious questions about issues that have turned into serious problems under his watch. Today, this from the governor.
It wasn't a surprise, and nor was it anything that I asked for. And so the reason for his retirement is one that you'll have to ask him.
Last month, we exposed August McKay didn't get a lick of discipline, even though he got caught calling a coworker the N-word. Another trooper, Kasha Domain, indicted for a shooting that left a man in Baton Rouge paralyzed. That same night, Reeves' son, Caleb, who is also a trooper, killed 2 people in what our sources are calling an at-fault crash as he responded to a call. And a 16-month-old case that just came to light this year where Trooper Chris Hollinsworth killed Ronald Green in the Murrow area. This leaked audio surfaced, and Reeves has refused to address any of these controversies. As Reeves gets ready to leave state police Friday, he leaves the agency he headed up in turmoil. As our sources say, they hope changes are made to reinstate the integrity in the state's premier law enforcement agency. Reeves was appointed as the colonel of state police 3 years ago. A demonstration took place at the governor's mansion tonight as protesters demand the state release videos tied to the Ronald Green case. State police have refused, claiming it's still under investigation. Sylvia, Michael.
Investigative unit report on hundreds of pages in public records released from state police.
Some of them were completely blacked out, unreadable. Legal experts tell Chief Investigator Chris Nakamoto they have never seen a public entity do this.
Thursday's sunshine emitting a bright ray of light over the halls of justice in Baton Rouge might just be the best antiseptic to what state police don't want the public to read. It took 2 months for them to comply with a public records request the WBRZ investigative unit sent looking for emails about a trooper who admitted to using the N-word. Many of the documents looked just like this, unreadable and totally blacked out.
It's almost certainly this inclination to protect what's embarrassing.
Chase Tettleton is a legal expert well-versed in public records law and represents WBRZ.
Certainly you're used to seeing individual elements of a document, redacted personal information, social security numbers, things like that. But to see entire pages redacted, it's pretty shocking, almost outrageous.
But the nature of the redactions, exactly what state police did. The WBRZ investigative unit asked for emails between top Louisiana State Police brass involving August McKay. McKay, a trooper, got caught flippantly using the N-word his watch mistakenly called his African-American co-worker. When he was interviewed, he told his boss at the time he's not a racist, but used the N-word referring to his deadbeat cousin who had bill collectors after him. But when the WBRZ investigative unit exposed the situation back in September, there were problems from the get-go. State police did not want to produce the records tied up with August McKay's use of the N-word. And before they released them, Major Doug Kane, who is now the chief of staff, called WBRZ asking us not to do the story. The WBRZ investigative unit did not comply with their request and exposed McKay and how he received no discipline after those within LSP dropped the ball.
There's something going on here, that there's a lack of transparency, and it certainly looks like state police in this instance is not really holding true to their obligations under the public record laws.
Just before our original story aired in September, the WBRZ investigative unit requested emails about the McKay incident. With emails blacked out with no explanation and emails that top brass were passing around with our questions, it's creating more questions about what they did not want the public to read.
It's sort of distressing to see an agency like this that refuses to not only do the right thing in terms of just the overall situation, but not be transparent about what's going on behind the scenes when it comes to light.
For the investigative unit, I'm Chris Nakamoto.